This is Mary Beauty. She is a beautiful little girl. She's our youngest rescue chimpanzee. She's an orphan of the bushmeat and pet trades here in Liberia, and I'm her surrogate mother. She would be with her mother in the forest until the age of probably 8 or 9 and possibly for her lifetime. So unfortunately, her mother was killed. She was orphaned, and she's now needing full-time 24/7 round-the-clock care, which we are providing her with now. We currently have 64 chimpanzees in our care. Western chimpanzees are actually listed as critically endangered. In Liberia, where we have what is supposed to be maybe the second largest population, we only have 7,000, and I'm sure that number is lower now, considering the many chimps we've gotten out of confiscations. And globally, chimpanzees are really on the brink of having their populations heavily decimated through bushmeat, loss of habitat, extractive industries, encroachment, and the pet trade, which is a local and international issue. It's a pretty scary situation going into it sometimes. People can get quite angry, and it gets heated very, very quickly when somebody finds out that sometimes they're upset that you're taking away their pet. Sometimes they're angry because it's their product they're selling. To them, that's a product, and it's a business. One day we got a phone call that 2 chimps had been confiscated, and the person selling the 2 chimps was still on site where they had confiscated the chimps. So we went very quickly into action. The sellers came a very, very long way, many, many hours on motorbike to sell these chimps in the capital city. And they're not going to be happy about the fact that they're not going back with money. And then in addition, what we were hoping for was to get an arrest and to take this to the court system here. So we knew it was going to be volatile. This was kind of like the perfect storm in a way, because they were taken immediately to the police station, and we were able to take the chimps and start immediately trying to do life-saving efforts to keep them alive. So it was a pretty tense situation for my husband, Jimmy, who's a veterinarian. And then as a caregiver, you really are looking at what's the chimp situation, how is he emotionally, how is he responding to me, what has he been through, and what can I do immediately to make him at least feel safe in that moment and get him quickly out of that situation. Unfortunately, despite life-saving efforts, one of the little chimps, the littlest boy, died on the spot within a couple hours. I don't even think a few minutes of arriving. Even with a strong personality and a will to survive, they might still not make it. We lose chimps rarely, thank God, but when we lose chimps, they're part of our family. They're like Mary Beauty. They're like all the other ones. I mean, they come in and they get 24-hour care. They become part of our family. When you're losing them, it's quite devastating. To be honest, I think when I saw the little boy, and this is often the case, he was in shock. And the way we can see that in a chimp is their eyes really tell a lot. When you see a chimp in shock, really their eyes look, the best way I can describe it, their eyes look dead. I mean, they're just kind of out to space. They're glassy, and they just look like no emotion is there. The best way to describe it is they're scrunched into a little ball. They're like inside themselves. They close themselves in when they're in that trauma state and that state of shock. And you basically watch them. It's just like a flower blooming. You slowly watch them physically kind of open up until the point where they're even sleeping, on their backs, just splayed out, totally relaxed. So Horatius, who we call lovingly Hori, I am very, very happy to say that Horatius is now fully integrated with their little baby group, our smallest group. We call them the littlest littles. Everyone loves Hori. He's a really funny guy, especially with his one eye. We call him a little pirate. Hori is a a real success story. And to see him today as this, wild little kid, there's just, I can't stop bragging about him. But he's just this amazing little person, and he's going to become more and more amazing as he grows, as he gets older. He's going to become an amazing adult. While I, of course, wish he weren't with me and he were in the wild, I certainly do not take 1 minute with him for granted. They deserve a life of dignity and respect and joy and happiness, and they deserve to have all those amazing emotions in the wild. I've been working very hard the last couple years to acquire land and forested land. We have 100 acres of forest, and we have even more, like a wetlands forest mix, another many acres. And we have been able to construct some buildings, a night dorm for our chimps, and a nursery and food prep area, office, and a place for us to live on site. So it's really exciting. We haven't fully moved into that space yet, but that is going to just be life-changing for everyone. For the chimps, clearly, because they'll be able to go to the forest. But currently, we've been able to move 2 out of our 5 groups of chimps to go to the forest every day. So we have to drive them because we're not living on site yet, but we drive them in what we call the school bus, and then they tumble out of the school bus and go right into the forest with their carers, and they spend the day in the forest, and it's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And the second that you get to the forest and you see the chimps in the forest, you just see a whole different demeanor. They're physically and emotionally, they're just different little people. And they just immediately just are up in the trees and swinging on the vines. And, you're just like, wow, this is definitely where they should be, no question about it. I'm sure you can see it on my face right now. Getting the chimps back to the forest is just, it's so hard to even describe. It's the most absolutely awesome feeling I have ever had in my life. Yeah, it's almost indescribable. It's like it's a feeling of like extreme elation, to see that and to feel that.